Hello and welcome to Blush, the world's first wellness show that's actually entertaining. I'm Hiwa and I quit law so I can help you look and feel your best. Together, we get into food, nutrition, all the latest wellness trends, but we also laugh, get silly, drop a few F-bombs, and go on a million tangents. So if that sounds like your vibe, we're about to be best friends. Hey, my little cuties, and happy Tuesday. Hope everyone's having a good week, and I hope you had a great holiday weekend. You know what I think about all the time? Like, literally since I first started the podcast 450 years ago. I mean, can you guys believe in October it'll be 5 years? Anyway, something I think about all the time is like, what would the audience name be? Like, you know how people like name their fan base or whatever. God, it feels so cringy to say fan base, like all three of you. Hey. No, but you know what I mean? How like the call her daddy is like the daddy gang or whatever. I often think about what you guys would be called. I mean, I know what I would like, but I don't think it's up to me. Like, I can't decide it. So, you know, just something to think about on your own. Like, what would you like to be named? Because it would be cool if there was like a little nickname. But you know, you can't force these things. They've got to unfold organically. Anyway, I hope everyone's having a good day. Sorry, I don't know what this energy is. I'm just in a good fucking mood. I have had some major up levels lately, just like these major breakthroughs and insights. I'm wrapping up the TBM money challenge. If you're not familiar, To Be Magnetic is this brand, this like manifestation brand. I've been doing their work for years and I've been a little bit disconnected from it lately, but then I went all in on this money challenge with one of my best friends, Maggie. Hi, Maggie. Love ya, babe. And so much has come up. I've also had so much shit in my interpersonal life. You know, I let this kind of psycho stay with me for a few days. That's so mean. No, she's a lovely gal, but not for me. And that's kind of helped unlocked and you know, I really do believe, not to get too woo-woo, but I really do believe everything that happens to us is an opportunity for us to learn and grow. And I think it's no coincidence that I started putting very intentional energy into, you know, figuring out some stuff via this money challenge. And then all these things came up, right? These like opportunities that seemed like these big, shiny opportunities that I had to reject. And then these like big, deep interpersonal triggers, like this girl saying like wildly racist shit to me that took me back to like all these like childhood wounds that I then had to work through and all this fun stuff. I just feel like energy's moving, energy's shaking. I feel more connected to myself and my body than I have in such a long time, which is also funny because I'm currently in my luteal phase. And my PMS bloating is like at a 10 out of 10. Like this morning, I was like, whoa, my tits are like ready to provide milk. Like that's what it feels like. They are massive, you know? And all these things that usually I hate. Like I fucking hate when my boobs feel big. I fucking hate all this shit. But like today I'm just like, whatever. Like, I don't know. I can't explain it. Like I'm just like, I feel a strong sense of connection. I feel a strong sense of presence in the world, which not to bring up, you know, my depression for the 680th time, like this month on the podcast, but for so many years of my life, like I would argue actually my entire life, I've always felt like I was on the outskirts of life, looking in on the world, looking in on life. And this year is the first year of my entire life that I've genuinely felt like a participant in life rather than someone who's like watching the world as though it's on a movie screen and it's for everyone else to partake in and for me to sit and watch. Like this year, I feel like I'm in the fucking movie, you know? And that feels really, really fucking good. So yeah, I'm excited, you know, breaking the fourth wall a little. I am recording before the holiday weekend right now, so it's Thursday. I have no idea what we're doing tomorrow for 4th of July. And the thing is, historically, you guys, like longtime listeners know, historically, 4th of July is one of my biggest triggers. It's one of those 4th of July and Thanksgiving as of recently, because historically it was like a family holiday, but it brings up this wound of like, I'm such a loser. I have nowhere to go. I have nothing to do, blah, blah, blah. And for some reason, my 4th of July plans have always ended up like falling through, or there were so many times where I was like literally home by myself during fireworks, and it just made me feel like such a loser. And this is the first year where I'm just like, it's whatever. Like, I don't know who's in town. Like, we'll figure out something to do. Like, it's not bringing up that loser wound for me, which is really fucking exciting. Anyway, enough about me. So it is the second Tuesday of the month, which means it's a hot or not. And we have some really fucking good trends that we're going to get into. Like, I'm pumped. So I don't know. Let's get into it. So the first one is magnesium glycinate. And this is like, it seems hella random, but I feel like I've been hearing people talk about it a lot lately. And I wanted to get into it because there are so many different formulations of magnesium. And I think that there's a lot of confusion about magnesium. And I just thought it was like a really good opportunity to discuss and differentiate and yada yada. Okay, so magnesium glycinate is a type of magnesium that is chelated. And listen, I don't know if chelate or chelated is pronounced the way I'm saying it, or if it's chelate or chelated. It's CHELATED. But you know, on this week's episode of Hiwa Doesn't Know How to Pronounce Fucking Words, we have chelation over here. But it's a chelated form. I'm just going to say cha with a cha, but I think it could be ka. And I, how would I know? I'm sorry, but the English language is fucked up when it comes to pronunciation. Okay. Just take a peek at German. You could see a German word that literally has 75 letters that you've never seen before in your life, and you would know exactly how to pronounce it because the pronunciation rules never fail. It's like, you know, they say like, oh, face card never declines. German pronunciation card never fucking declines. It doesn't even mean anything. But like the rules are, what's the word I'm looking for? They're consistent. So a CH is always pronounced. Oh, okay. Actually, that's the one outlier. CH is always pronounced the same depending on where in a word it is. So like CH at the beginning of a word would always be ch. If it's after a vowel, it's always I think it's a very subtle and slight difference. But like if there's an I before an E, it's always pronounced E. If it's E before I, it's always pronounced I. And there are no exceptions ever to any pronunciation rules in German. English, on the other hand, sounds like it was constructed by a bunch of like pothead teenagers who were high out of their fucking minds in a dark playground after dark, passing around a bottle of like just the most pavo booze out there inside of a brown paper bag, each taking a swig of it. Like that's what the English language sounds like. I'm sorry, but it's a bunch of fucking morons invented this shit. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know how to pronounce words because does anyone? Like you guys just make this shit up, it seems like. Anyway, rant over. I don't know how to pronounce words. Okay, moving right along. Why are we starting the podcast with this energy? I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know what's going on. I'm in my luteal phase. I think I'm going through mood swings. Also, these earrings, so chic, so cute. We love a mixed metal. I did not anticipate them to be this big, but like fucking love, you know, like it's like more earring. You know what I mean? I'm never going to say no to that. However, them being as heavy as they are is honestly kind of rude. Like I think I'm losing brain cells. Brain stems. Honestly, that probably too. I think I'm losing brain cells. Like I think they're seeping out of the lobes of my ears. I think that's what's happening. Okay, moving right along. So we haven't even gotten to line 1 of what I've written down, by the way. I've just been yelling about pronunciation and earrings thus far. Anyway, so magnesium glycinate is a chelated magnesium that is bound to glycine. So let me just backtrack for a second. Sorry, I don't know how to talk today. I don't know what happened. Like the marbles entered the mouth and they have not left. So chelation means It's when magnesium is bound, a magnesium ion is bound to an organic molecule, usually a form of amino acid, to improve its stability and absorption in the gut. So magnesium glycinate is when a magnesium ion is chelated or bound to glycine, which is an amino acid, and it's an amino acid that's really good for sleep, for calming, and for skin. So love that for us. Glycinate is arguably the best form of chelated magnesium, but let's go into the claim. So basically what people are popping off about is that magnesium glycinate is good for sleep, good for anxiety, good for PMDD, burnout, and like the big trendy thing is like it's a nervous system reset protocol, right? It's in the nervous system reset protocol. Just taking a deep breath. Don't mind me. I also might have to burp myself. I'm sorry. I don't know if you guys know this, but I have this like condition. It's not a condition. It's a made up thing. But I sometimes have a hard time burping. Like, you know, like not like a big gross burp, but just like a little dainty burp when you have a little bit of air stuck. Like people can usually do it normally. I have this thing where I'm a little bit like a baby. Like I have a hard time burping, and if I'm not careful, I will spit up. So sometimes I just have to burp myself because, you know, she's cute and dainty like a baby. How weird is that? Sometimes in solid core, I have to stop because I have like 40 beverages before I go to solid core in the morning. I have to stop and like sit up and burp myself real quick. And one time after class, the instructor was like, "Hey, are you okay? Because I noticed you do this weird thing." I was like, "Oh yeah, I had to burp myself." Like, and I explained the whole thing. She's like, "Oh, that's really fucking weird. You shouldn't admit that to people ever again." I'm just kidding. She didn't say that. But do you guys know one of the things like about my sense of humor, and I've done this literally since as I can remember, as far back as high school, is when I like retell a story, often I'll do that thing where I'm like, "Oh yeah, and then she said blah, blah, blah." And it's this like really awful, mean thing that I say that they said, which I think is funny. And then like sometimes, I think you guys get my sense of humor, but some people don't get it. And they'll be like, "Wait, she really said that?" And I'm like, "No, of course she didn't say that. Like, what kind of sociopath do you think? Do you think the teacher said, 'Cool, never fucking admit that to people'? That would be such a weird thing for her to say." No, I said that because in my head, that's the energy. And like, it would be funny if she said that. So I'm just writing the joke for her. You know, like, do you not get it? Like, it's hypothetical. Like we're being funny, right? That's why it's funny. Wait, speaking of which, okay, I'm just going to go. It's going to be a tangenty episode today, I think. Okay. So when I was in college, I think you guys know I dated a much older guy, and then we broke up. And then I was at this like policy conference because I was kind of working in policy at the time, and like I was still in college. So this was like during internships and stuff. I was at this policy conference, and me and the older guy had just broken up, and I saw this guy and I was like, "Oh, he's kind of good looking." And so I told this guy who I'd worked with, who technically was my boss, but whatever. I was like, "Oh yeah, that guy's cute." And he's like, "Oh, I know him really well, and he's recently single." And so he told him that I thought he was cute, whatever. That guy then asked me out on a date. We went on a date the next time I was in town, and he also was much older, not quite as much older as the other guy I'd been dating, but older enough, older enough that it's like kind of weird. In retrospect, I'm like, why did he want to go out with like how old? I may have been 21 at the time. Yeah, I think I was 21. Like, why would he? I don't know. Why would he want to go out with a girl who's like still in college? Like, he was older enough that it was like a little odd to me. Like, I think he was like in his 30s, you know? Now it's odd to me. At the time, I was young and dumb. I didn't know any better. Anyway, but this is where I think it gets really weird. So we're at dinner, and I said like something, literally, like, and you know, when you say literally and you don't actually mean literally, it's like facetious, you know, like that's why it's funny. And he goes, "I think you mean figuratively." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, like it just like drives me crazy when people say literally when what they mean is figuratively." And I was too young to have the wherewithal to be like, "No, I didn't mean figuratively. I was making a joke. That's why you say literally in situations where the correct word would be figuratively. It's facetious. Like, do you not have a fucking sense of humor? Anyway, so I said nothing at the time and I like felt so weird. And then like, obviously he had like exerted his power over me and I was like, oh my God, I should marry this guy. And then he kind of ghosted me. And now the way I want to DM him and be like, you humorless son of a bitch. I did not mean figuratively. I meant it as a fucking joke, but you have no goddamn sense of humor and you just don't get shit. Okay, now that I've gotten that out of the way, doing 20 years of therapy over here, let's go right back to magnesium. So I left off at the claims, right? Like, I feel like we barely even talked about the content. Whatever, it doesn't fucking matter. Okay, let's just move right along. So here's what the science says. A magnesium glycinate does seem to be better absorbed than other formulations. Like, for example, magnesium citrate is a really common formulation of magnesium. If you were to be like, let's say, deficient in magnesium, you would not see a massive uptake from taking magnesium citrate, but you would see a massive uptick in taking magnesium glycinate when you were to do blood work, is what I mean. Oh, burping myself. Okay, I just got it. Is that where we went on a billion tangents? Is that what happened? Yes, I think so. Yeah. Okay, I was able to burp myself. Okay, here we go. Full circle. Anyway, but there's a lot more science to this. So there are a lot of studies that show that magnesium does in fact help with sleep. There's also studies that show that magnesium deficiency is linked to depression, increased cortisol, and increased anxiety is what I meant when I wrote it the second time. However, I do want to note that just because we see correlation doesn't mean that magnesium deficiency is causing these situations. We just see a correlation. So just want to be really, really clear about that. Most people are magnesium deficient. So this is an interesting one. It's estimated that 60 to 70% of people are deficient in magnesium, but estimated is a really important word there because it's actually really, really hard to know the exact number because the testing situation is not ideal. I'm not going to go deep into the science of that. So our best estimates is that 60 to 70% of people are deficient. But again, it's truly an estimate. And yeah, so like these are all kind of the documented benefits of magnesium. And on top of that, we do see that a glycinated magnesium, the glycinate chelation version of magnesium, does seem to absorb far better than other formulations. So that would go to show that magnesium glycinate probably does do all these things. And then on top of that, the addition of glycine to the magnesium, the amino acid glycine, does seem to help with sleep and anxiety, which makes sense because people take glycine for sleep, for anxiety, and I also take it for beauty because it does really seem to help with like collagen synthesis and other skin related things. Now, one other thing I want to add to the science of this. So I have a close family friend with a magnesium company, and we had a call the other day, and he was saying that seems to be some kind of like magic number around 120 milligrams. And so I did some research onto this and it seems to be accurate. Basically, it seems to be the perfect amount of magnesium to replenish the body and experience the calming without getting into like laxative territory or making you energy depleted or things like that. Now, I do have a lot of personal experience with magnesium. Also specific, obviously, you guys know I have a lot of experience with a lot of different formulations of magnesium, but we're not going to get into that today. But I do have specific experiences with magnesium glycinate. And I very vividly remember the very first time that I took it. It was in 2012. I was dating this guy. And we had an unbelievably codependent relationship. Like he was so anxiously attached and codependent that it made me far more codependent. And like, I don't think I would have even been as codependent if it weren't for him. But it's like, he like made me be like, he wanted to be attached at the hip to me. And then like at that point, like once it had been like months and months and months of him just never wanting to be apart from me, I got so so used to that. So then if we ever were apart, like I would go a little crazy too, even though I did have a lot of anxious attachment, like I wasn't even that intense, as he was. Anyway, so I remember he was like going away for the weekend for something for a friend, like a guy friend's like birthday party or something. And I remember being really upset that he was leaving, like really, really upset, because I feel like it's kind of like what streamers have done to us, right? Like streamers have gotten us used to like dropping a whole season of TV at once. And then all of a sudden these streamers were like, ooh, actually we're going to release the episodes like 1 week at a time. And it's like, you made us addicted to the whole season coming out all at once, and now all of a sudden you're only going to give us 1 episode at a time, and we're just supposed to be okay with that. Like we were okay with 1 episode at a time. That's all we had ever experienced historically, but then you are the one who made us get into the whole season coming out at once, and now all of a sudden you're taking it away again. Like are you okay? And it's the same shit that happened with this guy. It's like, you made me this codependent, now all of a sudden you're leaving for the weekend. Now keep in mind I was like 22. I had no idea what up was from down. Anyway, so I remember he was gone for the weekend, and I was all like kind of emo and feeling like really dark and lonely and stuff like that. And I had just gotten this magnesium glycinate supplement, and I took one. And I will never forget, it's like 30 to 60 minutes into taking this supplement, all of a sudden, I can't explain it, it's like the crazy went away. Like all of a sudden I was so calm, I was so rational, I was able to see things so clearly, and I was like, who gives a shit that this loser has gotten for the weekend? Like everything, it's literally like there was like a crazy part in my brain, like there was like a tumor, like, or like a demon in my brain that was making me crazy, and I took the glycinate and it just like took the crazy out of my brain. Like it was such a vivid and intense experience. Like I will literally never ever forget it. And I've had a few other like really intense experiences like that, but like for the most part, obviously for the most part it's never been like that extreme. But I take magnesium glycinate every night. Like I do really, really swear by it. And I will say I am an investor in that family friend's company. So I do have a financial stake, and I will recommend it. I just want to disclose that. But I also am literally not involved in any of the decision making, as you would be able to tell by looking at the packaging. Not that there's anything wrong with the packaging, but like, you guys know me, you know my aesthetic, you know my vibe. Like, if I were to create a supplement, it would be in very chic, elite prestige packaging. Like it would be something you'd want to like display. It's something you would like frame and put on the fucking wall, it's something you would hang in the Louvre. Like this looks like a normal fucking supplement company, which is how you can tell that I'm not involved at all. But I have tried the product and I think it's really good. So that's the one that I would recommend now. The brand is called Nature Yours, and I will link it in the show notes. And also I believe Prime Day is like starting tomorrow or something, like right after this episode drops, and it is on a massive Prime Day sale. So I would go ahead and order it in the next 2 days to take advantage of that sale. So there will be a link in the show notes, and ultimately the verdict on this wellness trend is hot. Okay, let's move on to another one. Now, this one is not really like a wellness trend. It's more a food trend, but it's something I've been seeing on menus constantly, and it is kind of a niche thing. So I just want to talk about it because I feel like here at Blush, we are very like women of the moment. We aspire to be like it girls. Like we're cultured, we're out and about, we're in the world, we know things. And so I want us to know things. So, if we like go out or go to a cafe or something, you see this on a menu and everyone's like, oh, what the fuck is this? You're the one who's going to be able to answer the question. And it's pandam. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Again, I don't know. In all fairness, this is a foreign word. I did look it up though, and I think it is pronounced pandam. So pandam is a tropical plant that's native to Southeast Asia. And it's described as a cross between vanilla, coconut, and freshly cut grass, which, I don't know a ton of people who seek out the flavor of freshly cut grass when they eat. I'm one of them, but I know not everyone is. But the leaves and sometimes the flesh is used in a lot of cuisines like Thai, Malaysian, Singaporean, Indonesian, and Vietnamese cuisine, both in sweet and savory dishes. So some examples are in desserts like a pandan cake, pandan jelly. Pandan jelly, I think, is really common and really traditional. Sticky rice and ice cream. It's used in drinks like pandan tea, pandan coconut milk, and like Thai or Vietnamese beverages. And in savory uses, it's sometimes wrapped around chicken or steamed rice to infuse the aroma. And I've been seeing it pop up like left, right, and center in more like mainstream cuisine. So like not so much, like a little bit less authentic. I've been seeing a lot of like matcha pandan drinks and stuff like that. I just feel like it's like getting more and more trendy. I also am seeing it in cocktails a lot. So just something, you know, when you see it on a menu, you'll be like, oh yeah. I feel like this is like kind of the it girl flavor of the moment. So I just wanted to kind of talk about it. There really aren't like a lot of like scientific or wellness claims around this. And there really isn't like, there are like no studies on it. I will say that it's traditionally used like in herbalism in these cultures for things like fever, headaches, joint pain, arthritis, stress, restlessness, digestion, and gum health, which is kind of a wide array. And probably like I probably need all those things other than headaches. So that's cool. Maybe I should fucking get some. And speaking of which, you guys, I have been driving myself and my entire household fucking crazy trying to get my hands on some pandan. I've been looking for fresh leaves, frozen leaves, an extract, a powdered version, like any fucking thing other than like I've seen like prepackaged like pandan pudding mix or something that, you know, just has like loads of sugar and artificial colors and stuff like that in it. Obviously that's not what I'm after, but I haven't tried it. Like I've never tried a pandan product and I really fucking wanted to before this episode so I could talk about it. But like my understanding is that it has like a tropical kind of earthy vanilla feeling to it. Now, I did order a pandan extract that should be arriving soon. So I will update you guys on how I like it. And I'm going to try to kind of like seek out places that have pandan products so I can taste them and talk about it. But yeah, I've been searching high and fucking low. Like literally Ozzy yesterday was like, where have you been for 4 hours? And I was like, oh, I went to every single Asian grocer that I could find trying to find some fucking pandan shit and I haven't been able to. And he's like, great, that's great. But yeah, I don't know. The verdict is like, it seems hot. Like I wouldn't do it for like wellness reasons, but like fucking try it. Like, you know what's an underrated wellness tool? It's being a part of the world. Like it's like not being so rigid in our wellness that we refuse to integrate and refuse to be a part of normal society. Like having a strong social network and having fucking fun in your life is so much more important for wellness than like being so strictly regimented. And I think just like Ozzy and I have this inside joke where it's about Sam. So like, for example, if we're in another room and Sam runs over, we're like, oh, she wants to be a part of it. And like the best way I can describe life is like be a part of it. As someone who, you know, kind of going back to the top of the episode, has always my entire life felt like I was on the outskirts of life looking in. I just want to be a fucking part of it, you know? And I think we should all strive to be a part of it. And I think a lot of us, I won't speak for other people, but I know personally, I've often used wellness as an excuse for not being a part of it. And I think sometimes it feels easier to not be a part of it because then you're not like trying. And if you're not trying, it's like, well, I'm not failing because I'm not even trying, right? Like I've used it as a shield for like, well, I have all these wellness practices, so I won't even try that. Like, that's why I'm not going out. That's why I'm not socializing. That's why I have 0 friends. It's not because I'm like a big fat loser, but like instead just like embracing and trying to be a part of things, I think will do so much more for your well-being than having these like strictly regimented things. Okay, like I'm gonna move on because we're getting too esoteric here. Okay, that was just like a quick one that I wanted to throw in. Another wellness trend, this is probably the thing that I've been seeing the most of on social media, are these fucking cortisol drinks. So there are all these like companies that have these like drink powders or mixes or whatever that usually have some combination of magnesium, adaptogens, and electrolytes that allegedly help manage cortisol. And before I go on to the claims, I do want to really quickly sorry for that tapping sound. I was burping myself like a baby. Sorry, I had a lot of beverages before we started recording here. That probably is why I'm like a 10 out of 10. I feel like I'm going to have a crash really soon because I think I had like a little bit too much caffeine maybe, and I feel like a crash is impending. Anyway, I do want to quickly talk about what adaptogen means and what electrolyte means, because I feel like these are words that are thrown around a lot and probably a lot of us don't actually know what they mean. I happen to know because, you know, I'm a wellness expert, not to brag, but I think most people, like when they're like adaptogenic, whatever, like actually I have no idea what the fuck it means. So an adaptogen is a type of herb that helps your body adapt to stress. Some really good examples are ashwagandha, rhodiola, and ginseng. So basically what they do is they adapt to your body's needs. So rather than like people often talk about like reducing cortisol, but like sometimes you need cortisol. Like cortisol has a very important function and role. So what adaptogens do is they'll upregulate cortisol when your energy is low, and they'll downregulate cortisol when your energy is high. And yeah, I said like ashwagandha is like one of the most famous examples right now. An electrolyte is a type of mineral, but not all minerals are electrolytes. So electrolytes are only the minerals that carry a charge, whether that charge be positive or negative. Non-charged minerals are not electrolytes. So some of the minerals that are electrolytes are sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, chloride, and phosphate. And some of the non-electrolyte minerals are iron, zinc, copper, selenium, iodine, and chromium. So just like this doesn't matter for the discussion at all. This is just like enriching your general knowledge. So like next time you're at, you know, a function and someone's talking about like electrolyte beverage, like you know what the fucking electrolyte actually is. Anyway, so the claims of these cortisol drinks is like first and foremost, nervous system regulation, obviously. But then I see some other wild claims like significant and rapid weight loss. Like there's this one product, it's called like Super Yerba or Yerba Magic or some shit. It like every third TikTok that I see is a fucking ad for this. It's driving me crazy. And there's a bunch where this person's like, if you don't lose 15 pounds in the first 2 weeks, like I will wire you $30,000. And I'm so tempted, so fucking tempted to order it, use it for 2 weeks and be like, where's my fucking $30,000? Because there's no way in fuck I'm losing 50. Even if I stopped eating entirely for 2 weeks, I wouldn't lose 15 pounds in 2 weeks. Like it's physically not possible on my frame. Anyway, so that's one of the claims. There's a lot of like debloating, depuffing types of claims. And then also like flat belly claims. Like there's a lot where they're like, you'll lose your fupa or whatever. And I will say something that I am yet to understand. I know what fupa stands for. I do. But I've never known when people say fupa, are they referring to like the lower belly fat that everyone has, like the area just below your belly button? Or is it like where your pubic hair is portion? Like, would it be above your underwear line or below your underwear line? Which of the two is the fupa? Like, I've never known. Anyway, doesn't fucking matter. So let's look at the science of this. There are no studies on any of these full products, but there are studies on individual ingredients that do seem to show a lot of promising things for nervous system. So there's a 2010 study in magnesium research that showed that magnesium blunts ACTH stimulated cortisol release. There's a 2019 meta-analysis in Nutrients, which I feel like is a journal that we talk about a lot on this podcast. Like low-key, they they should sponsor the podcast with how much free advertisement we're giving them. Not that I can't imagine anyone is like subscribing to Nutrients Journal because of this podcast, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, it found that L-theanine, which is a type of amino acid that's naturally found in tea, which is a calming amino acid. It's really fun actually, because like obviously caffeine is stimulating, but then if you have tea, often the reason that you're not like as jittery or stimulated as you are with coffee, aside from the fact that tea usually doesn't have nearly as much caffeine, is also because most teas naturally have L-theanine, which helps takes like the jitters and anxiety away. Something also that I would recommend is if you are sensitive to like the jitters and the anxiety, you can just take an L-theanine supplement when you have coffee or whatever. Anyway, this 2019 meta-analysis found that L-theanine improves stress and anxiety in stressful tasks. There was a 2020 RCT. What is an RCT? Oh, randomized control trial. I was like, I have not one iota of a clue what an RCT is. Randomized control trial that showed ashwagandha lowered serum cortisol levels and improved sleep in stressed adults. And also there's a lot of research that shows that sodium and potassium are essential for maintaining cellular fluid balance and adrenal function, which buffers physical stress. As far as like the weight loss, the bloating, etc., again, there is some evidence that these minerals, especially like sodium, potassium, and magnesium, can balance out fluid retention and move bowels, which can make you look thinner for sure. And then, you know, there's some research about how less stress can mean less emotional eating, which then could mean lower body weight, yada, yada, yada. I have been taking one of these like cortisol drinks, the Nello Super Calm one, for a little while now. I feel like it's got to be around a month. I can't say I've noticed anything, but something fun about me is I have taken so much ashwagandha throughout my life. I've never noticed a difference. Now, does that mean it's actually like not doing anything? Not necessarily. It might just mean that I'm not perceiving the difference. Like I also have had like a laser treatment on my face before and felt like I saw no difference. Like there are a lot of things where I feel like I notice no difference. Again, I don't like, maybe I'm just someone who's like not super perceptive and I just don't notice the difference. But then like I think about, you know, when I started taking creatine, and it was such a noticeable difference for me. So I'm going to continue with the Nello Super Calm for at least another month, and I'll like report back if I really notice anything. But I will say I would recommend the Nello one out of all the cortisol things. And also of the flavors that I've tried, which is just two, there was like the raspberry lemonade and the blue coconut. I like the blue coconut better. I don't usually like artificially flavored things, and it has like stevia and whatever, like just shit that I like would prefer not to take, but it's such a whatever amount. Anyway, I'll get into why I'm continuing to take it. So ultimately, the verdict is for stress relief, the science seems pretty fucking good. For weight loss, not really. I think it can have some effect, but it's pretty fucking indirect. But if you're going to do one, definitely do Nello. For three reasons. Number one, it has like the type of ashwagandha it has is KSM 66, which is one of the most researched full spectrum ashwagandha extracts. Like it's considered to be like the most effective one. And that specifically is why I'm going to continue taking Nello and see if I do notice a difference. Like I'm curious to see if we'll see a difference in my HRV or just something that is like actually documented. It also delivers clinically supported doses of these stress reducing ingredients. And that's really important because a lot of times these supplements, especially when they're like powdered bulk mixes, like a really good example is AG1. They have all these like herbs and vitamins and minerals that are really fucking important. But then if you look at the actual amount that ends up being in a serving, it's not at a clinically supported level. Like none of like all of the ingredients in AG1 end up being not at clinically supported levels. Like you may as well not take them. And what a company like AG1 claims is like, oh, but it's like the synergy between all the herbs. But like no, it's not. Like, it's just not. Like, you'd have to take so much of AG1 to get like a meaningful amount of any of these things. And then the last reason, it has a really high user rating. So if you're going to take one of them, I would take that one. I will keep taking it and I will report back what I find. Okay, the last trend that we're going to discuss this week, or this month, I should say, is reverse dieting. Now, reverse dieting sounds like a fucking dream, doesn't it? And the idea is, or like what it really is a gradual strategic increase in calories after a period of calorie restriction or dieting. And the idea is to restore your metabolism. So the claims are that after prolonged periods of being in a calorie deficit, your body lowers its resting metabolic rate, which makes it harder and harder to keep losing weight. And the claim ultimately is that reverse dieting can help you increase your metabolism so you can lose weight again without having to cut so much. So let's get into the science. Okay, so like when people increase calories, they do see some metabolic upregulation, but it's usually via increased movement or from weight gain, because as we know, the higher your body weight, the higher your resting metabolic rate is. And I would say, and very, very importantly, your metabolism doesn't scale up 1-to-1 with added intake. So like, let's say you increase your caloric intake by like 100 calories a day. You're not going to burn 100 more calories a day. Like, that's not how it works. The amount that your metabolism can then burn is not as much as your increased caloric intake. There was a 2019 study on refeeding after weight loss that showed that even small calorie increases led to fat gain unless accompanied by very structured strength training and controlled intake. So here's the real verdict. Reverse dieting is extremely hot for anyone who needs to gain weight. So like, people who should do this are people who weigh too little. People who are not getting periods, people who have hormone imbalances, people who have low energy, low libido, extreme cold intolerance, people recovering from disordered eating. Even if, let's say, like the disordered eating is a lot of like binging and purging, and like you're actually overweight and you ultimately need to lose weight, you still should consider reverse dieting, because it'll help your body regain a sense of safety first, and then you can tackle the rest of the things. However, for the vast majority of people, and like people who just want to lose weight, reverse dieting is not appropriate. Usually, revisiting last week, your metabolism is not the reason why you're not losing weight. Usually, it's all the calories that you're eating that you're not even noticing. Those are the reasons why you're not losing weight or you're struggling to lose weight. It is not your metabolism's fault. Again, if you have any lack of clarity on this, please go and listen to last week's episode again, because we got really fucking deep into this. The vast majority of people are underestimating their caloric consumption. In fact, studies show that people are underestimating their caloric consumption by 20 to 50%. And when I say people, that includes dietitians, aka professionals whose jobs it is to do this, are still fucking up about half the time. That's nuts. That is fucking nuts when you think about it. I actually tried counting calories the other day. I gave up like halfway through the day, but I just kind of wanted to make sure I'm getting enough calories. That was like my big thing. And I was shocked at how, like, and I'm someone who I would say has like a very strong intuitive understanding of calories from having had an eating disorder for so many years. And I was shocked at how many more calories I had consumed by like lunch than I thought I had, because I was like, oh, I just had like a tiny bit of like whatever. I had a few bites of whatever. It was like 4 times as many calories as I thought, which was fine. Like, it's not a big deal, but I'm just saying I'm probably one of the most seasoned people when it comes to estimating calories. And even I was doing it that fucking wrong. So think of like how big of mistakes other fucking morons are making. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But ultimately, I guess what I'm saying is, if you are trying to lose weight and you are struggling to lose weight, rather than quote unquote reverse dieting, what's going to be far more important for you is to figure out where you are ingesting more than you realize you are. Find ways to increase your movement, especially walking, rather than like increasing your time at the gym. If you're already doing like some actual proper workouts that aren't walking, I don't think you need to like increase your proper workouts. Instead, increase your walking, increase your step count. You're going to see far more fucking movement from that. Like, trust me, this is not it. And the reason that it's not it is because it's probably not addressing the actual cause. The cause usually is not your metabolism. The cause usually is overeating without even realizing it. Okay, it's a bit of a harsh truth, but it's one that needed to be said. Anyway, that brings us to our Foods That Make You Blush segment, which is a segment that we do at the end of the show every week, where we talk about foods that have nutritional benefits that support what we talked about that week. So our 5 foods for this week, and if you eat some of these foods, which like you fucking should, because I spent all this time researching them for you, like why would you not? It's like honestly kind of like mean and hurts my feelings when you don't. And when you do, can you please post it and tag me? Because like, you know, we love it. Anyway, number 1, coconut water. This is like, honestly, if I should pick just one for this episode, this would be it. Coconut water is nature's electrolyte drink. It's rich in potassium, magnesium, and even small amounts of sodium. It really, really helps regulate fluid balance, so it reduces that like puffiness, the bloating, and it's really great for moving bowels. Number 2, pumpkin seeds. I feel like pumpkin seeds come up literally every single episode in Foods That Make You Blush. Like, in fact, there are a few that come up so much that I'm like actively trying. Like, one that I could have picked for this week was like brown lentils, and I was like, we've done brown lentils so many times recently, like we've got to fucking diversify. But like pumpkin seeds, I can't not bring them up. They're one of the richest natural sources of magnesium out there. Like, how can I not bring them up? They're also one of these seeds that is highest in protein, which is really important for like hormone balance and you know, maintaining muscles, yada yada yada, for your thyroid. I mean, all this shit with the reverse dieting, right? And that brings me to number 3, which is tofu / tempeh / edamame. So it is a complete plant-based protein, plus it has calcium, iron, and I've never known how to pronounce this word. Honestly, I should rename the podcast. I don't know how to pronounce this word. Isoflavones. It's one of those words I only see written. I've like never heard someone talk about, but they're phytoestrogens that gently support hormone rebalance, especially for women post-dieting. Number 4 is sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes support thyroid hormone conversion and muscle glycogen restoration and steady, calm energy. Now, the glycogen thing is really important. In order for us to be able to build muscle, our muscles have to have some glycogen stored. So it's actually really, really important when you are exercising and lifting weights to be getting enough carbs. You heard it here first. And number 5, regular potatoes. So this one's really interesting. Studies consistently find potatoes to be the most satiating food out there. And on top of that, when you cook and then cool potatoes, they have a lot of resistant starch, which can help mute food noise, which, you know, is going to be a lot more important to you than something like reverse dieting. And that brings us to the end of the show, where we do a little gratitude segment where I list 3 things that I'm grateful for. And it's an invitation for you to list 3 things that you are grateful for. And the reason that we all do this is because gratitude is scientifically proven to make you a happier and more optimistic person. So I invite you, as I'm listing my 3 things, for you to list your 3 things. But I do encourage you to not just pick like the 3 most top of mind things, and instead, God, my knee really hurts. Oh God. Okay. Instead, really scan through your day or scan through your week and find 3 new things to be grateful for. So I'm grateful for these earrings I just got. They were actually a little prize I gave myself because I'm doing this rejection challenge with myself. More on that either next week or the following week. I will talk about it, although I do have a post about it on my TikTok, but I think it's going to be a really helpful framework for everyone to use. But yeah, I'm grateful that they arrived and that they look so cute and that they're just going to make my earlobes fall the fuck off. But you know what? If you have like really saggy earlobes from wearing like really heavy earrings and stuff, you can actually get your hole stitched up again. And then like once it heals, re-pierced. So if that's ever like a concern that you have, my sister-in-law did it and she said it was like the easiest thing ever. Okay. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for like a weather forecast of just like pure sunshine. I'm so excited to be outside, to play in the sun, and also to create like beautiful sunny content. Like natural light just makes food look so fucking good. And I am grateful. You know what? I'm grateful to live in an apartment with fucking central AC. Okay. It is a rare thing in New York City, and I'm really fucking grateful for that. And on top of that, I'm going to say I'm really grateful for all the lessons I've been learning this week, and more on that in the next 2 weeks. I have some sick fucking episodes coming up for you guys. I love you guys. I'm about to pee my pants per usual, so I'm going to run off, but you know the drill and you're about to hear it all in the outro. Okay. Love ya. Bye. If you loved that episode as much as I hope you did, make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss a thing, and check out some past episodes while you wait for the new one to drop next week. And until next week, make sure to stay cunty out there.